let me get started on what is even nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is one of those most powerful energy source used by humanity today. It is a very highly efficient and produce low carbon emission. What is even nuclear energy? Well, nuclear energy is the energy released from the nucleus of an atom during nuclear reaction, especially a nuclear fission or nuclear fusion. What is nuclear fission and what is nuclear fusion? Nuclear fission is basically uh, splitting atom into smaller nuclei. It releases heat energy and used in power plant. Nuclear fusion is combining two atoms. It basically used as in hydrogen isotope and deuterium and tritium.
So now let's take a look for a basic information for a nuclear energy. Did you guys ever have a thought where did nuclear energy come from? The source of the nuclear energy is come from a atomic nucleus. For the fuel that nuclear energy use is commonly used is uranium-235. Even though I say it's common, they have another type of a fuel that they usually use for nuclear energy. Example is plutonium-239. Even though we commonly heard that nuclear energy is used for a war, because we used to heard that in World War II, US used a nuclear bomb to bomb Nagasaki at Japan. But for this modern era, nuclear energy commonly used for electricity generation. Nuclear energy is not like a wind energy, solar energy, because it cannot use it for a multi of time, because nuclear energy is only one time use, because nuclear energy is non-renewable energy type, means that we cannot recycle the nuclear energy. And the place that nuclear energy being created is called nuclear power of plant. Now let's take a look for a next part. Category of nuclear energy use. Even though I said that earlier, in a modern era, they usually use nuclear energy for energy generation that been generated at power plant. Nuclear energy also have another purpose in life. For example, in industrial, they use it for a detect leak pipeline. And for medical, they usually use it for a cancer treatment. Like I said earlier, we used to hear that nuclear energy use it for a bomb, because we used to hear that in World War II, US US used a nuclear bomb to bombing Nagasaki at Japan, because it also have another purpose in military for a nuclear weapon. Now let's move on for our next part. Example of nuclear energy used in life. Like I said earlier, nuclear power plant is used for generate electricity to supply to some of building or anywhere that need electricity power supply. For a medical, they usually use for a radiotherapy. Like I said earlier, for a medical, nuclear energy used for a cancer treatment. And also, nuclear energy also used for a smoke detector, like we commonly see in some of building. Even though nuclear energy is radioactive, but smoke detector is totally safe, because it's only use a tiny bit of a uh, fuel of nuclear energy called americium-241. And did you guys ever wonder how can they generate that so much energy to fly the spaceship to the space? Because it's used a method called radioisotope thermoelectric generator, or commonly called as a RTC. And also, like I said earlier, for industrial is also used for a pipeline leak detector. And the case of pipeline leak detector is the same as a smoke detector. Even though nuclear energy is radioactive, but they only use a tiny bit of fuel, so the radioactive can be reduced.
The first advantage is it has a very high energy output. It creates a very large amount of power. So for the second point is it has a reliable power supply. It provides a steady and dependable source of electricity. And for the third point is low greenhouse gas emission. It does not release much greenhouse gas into the air. And the last point is reduce fossil fuel usage. It lowers our need to use fossil fuels. And then we go to the benefit of a nuclear energy. So the first one is help to reduce the climate change. It aids in fighting change to the global climate. And the second point is it will create a new skill jobs. It creates a new work for trained to a professional. And the third point is advanced medical technology. It helps improve medical tools and treatments. So the last point is clean air. It keeps the environment and air clean. So we go to the disadvantage of a nuclear energy. So the first one is radioactive waste. It produces harmful radioactive trash. And the second point is fuel is non-renewable. The fuel it uses cannot be replaced quickly. And then the third point is high construction costs. It costs a lot of money to build a power plants. And then the last one is high risk of accident. There is a great danger if an accident will happen. So we go to the problem of the nuclear energy. So the first problem is it will long-term waste disposal problem. It is hard to store the waste safely for a long time. So the second one is nuclear weapon misuse. The technology and materials can be misused to make a weapon. And the third one is public fear. Many people and civilians fear of a nuclear power. And the third and the last one is risk of radiation. There is a big danger will harmful if a radiation will exposure. So we go to the factor that influence a nuclear energy. So the first one is cost. The price of building and running plants affect its use. So the second one is the public opinion and the acceptance. It matters if a regular people like and accept the technology. The third one is safety measurement. Strict safety rules tracking are very important. And the last one is government action. The rules made by the government change how it used. So that's all for me.
So, how nuclear reactor work? Nuclear powered by fuel source usually consists of uranium-239 or plutonium-239. They're usually getting packed into ceramic pellets and being arranged into fuel rod. That fission process occurs in the rod. Where neutron hit fuel atom nucleus, the nucleus atom split, called fission, into two smaller nuclei, which called fission fragment. This split release energy and more neutrons, which the neutron can go on to cause more reaction inside the reactor. The energy is released either being a heat or gamma radiation. This reaction being controlled by control rod, usually created by boron. The control rod stops the fast neutron from interacting with fuel source, causing more reaction. Therefore, power is controllable. The water in the reactor works as a coolant and a moderator, make the heat in the reactor controllable, and moderator make high energy neutron in the fission that too fast to be efficient more slow enough to become efficient when interacting with the fuel source. After that, the heated water causes steam directed to turbine, which connected to generator, where the spinning motion produce electricity through electromagnetic induction. The that heated water enter a condenser. After being heated, where it being cooled off, it condenses back into liquid water and being pumped back into system to be reheated, creating continuous cycle. The generated electricity being sent into transformer that step up the voltage for transmission through power line where it travel to grid where it transfer electricity to urban area. That's how nuclear reactor works.
In conclusion, nuclear energy is powerful and efficient. It produces low carbon emission but still have some challenges. For example, waste management, safety measurement, and cost of investment and construction. Suggestion on improvement for nuclear energy. Firstly, safety regulation being strengthened, for example, the procedure in nuclear reactor. Secondly, use more safe and up-to-date design for nuclear reactor. For example, the latest nuclear reactor is HPR-1000 in China, named Hualang 1. Thirdly, improve waste management efficiency. For example, the radioactive waste will be buried 1000 meters deep in earth. The next one, invest for construction and research to achieve long-term improvement. For example, to avoid human error and fatalism flaw. The last one, educate public to avoid public fear and avoidance. For example, decrease misinformation about nuclear energy. In my opinion, despite having a lot of challenges and concern, nuclear energy deserves to get more attention of researchers and investors to it. It will affect long-term and will overcome many problems we are facing today, like environmental pollution. If all the concerned parties take part and fill their role, I believe nuclear energy can become main source of energy in the world.